What's going on, gamers? It's your boy Richie Bon, the coach of the Colorado Cramorant in the second season of the CGC Draft League, and today I'm bringing you my team builder for my Week 2 match versus Mike ABC and the New England Nidokings. This is my first actual match in the season. I had a bye week for Week 1, and if you saw the video, I had a Metronome 1v1 versus my friend Liz, the coach of the Peachy Pikachu in the opposite division. Go watch that if you haven't. That being said, this is my first real match, so this is my first real prep. So without further ado, let's get started. We're up against Mike ABC. He has a very flexible draft, lots of good trick room pieces, and a solid rain mode. Let's just go through it one by one. First off is Farigiraf. Farigiraf is one of my favorite Pokemon introduced in this generation. It's so cool, it's so great, it does so many great things. All of its abilities are phenomenal. It has excellent bulk, it has reasonable damage, it has a pretty good typing. I really like this Mon. I expect it, if it comes to be more of a supportive piece, it's probably going to have Trick Room. I think Trick Room is pretty good into my team because a lot of my pieces are pretty fast, so I'm expecting Mike to bring his Trick Room mode, but we will just have to wait and see. Farigiraf, its damage output doesn't really threaten my team. None of my Mons are weak to normal, obviously, but none of them are weak to psychic really either, except for like Valiant. It's just not really threatening for me. So I don't expect if what I'm trying to say is if this does come, I don't expect it to be offensive. Iron Hands is terrifying. Iron Hands is great. Its type matchup isn't the best, but I think it's pretty good, and I need to be very respectful of Iron Hands because it has insane damage. Thankfully, I have some good options to hit it on the special side, but that being said, I can't let it run amok. I can't let it do its thing. Terra typing is really effective on this. If it changes to a type when I'm trying to hit it just for super effective and I'm no longer super effective, it gets one big hit in, I'm in trouble. Iron Hands is certainly one of the scariest Mons on the draft, but I think I can handle it. Pelipper. It's the rain mode. We're going to be seeing drizzle. We've learned based on actual VGC events like in San Diego that Pelipper, while notoriously a pretty decent support Mon, it can swing pretty hard as well. 95 doesn't seem that high, but its two main damaging moves, being Hydro Pump and Hurricane, are high base power, and they're further boosted by their things. Well, Hurricane's not. Its accuracy is boosted by the rain, and Hydro Pump's power is boosted by the rain. But these things combined, also considering pretty okay bulk, okay physical bulk. The HP is low, but the defense is good. Special defense isn't very good. Again, most of Mike's draft is, most of them, if they aren't well-rounded bulky, they are weaker on the special side. So I want to be kind of targeting their special defense as much as I can. I have ways through Pelipper if it does come. Another thing to note about Pelipper is that it has Tailwind. So Rain Dance speeds up, well, Drizzle speeds up Dreadnaught's speed, but only Dreadnaught's speed on this team. If Mike opts to not go for Trick Room mode, which he could run both, right? He could run Pelipper with Tailwind and Trick Room just for flexibility. Pelipper does have access to Tailwind. That being said, that this Mon itself isn't that fast before it gets Tailwind up, but it's not like it has Prankster or anything. So if I do identify that it seems like he's going for a Tailwind strategy, I will either have to get my own speed control going or take out Pelipper before it uses Tailwind, which shouldn't be too hard to do with the team that I'm bringing. Toadscruel is really annoying. It is blazing fast, and as you can see, I was running some speed calcs. Not blazing fast, that's exaggeration, but for a Spore user, it's incredibly fast, and you might be wondering, how is it so fast and it has Spore? That must be broken. Well, Mycelium Might prevents it from going first using status moves. They always go last, but they ignore abilities. None of my Pokemon that I'm bringing really care about their ability as far as status moves go, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the research that I did. So if this thing's using Spore, it's going to go last in its bracket, and that's just something I have to deal with. So it kind of doesn't really care about speed control for Spores. However, it can do some damage. It has Tentacruel stats, right? So 80 special attack isn't super high, but if you invest, I mean, Energy Ball, Giga Drain, Earth Power, all do reasonable damage. This is a support Mon through and through. I think, thankfully, I have some pretty solid answers to dealing super effective damage to it. So we'll get there when we review what I'm bringing. Dreadnought. Dreadnought's very threatening. I was running speed calcs on this for sure because with Swift Swim, it can double its speed and it hits real hard. 115 rain boosted liquidations and rock slides are nasty. If I come face to face with this, I'm going to have to take it out. And again, that special defense being the lower stat, I really got to target that if I want to stand a chance. There could be a weird situation where Mike brings sand and then all of a sudden Dreadnought has like more special defense. That would be really interesting, but I don't think that's going to happen. But if it did, respectable, because again, the special defense is definitely something I want to target here as much as I can. Magneton's cool. Again, low special defense. This is going to be a continuing trend versus this team, is that I need to be targeting that. It's a pretty good mon. Magnet Pull could come to trap Bronzong for some reason, but Bronzong doesn't take much damage anyways. It gets reasonably bulky with Eviolite. That HP is really low, but like if you invest smartly to take specific hits for mons that I could bring, it could be pretty potent. It's a little less strong than Magnezone. It's just a little worse than Magnezone in most respects, except for speed. It's a little bit faster, which doesn't really matter. I don't think this is going to come, but I'm ready for it if it is. It's great in the rain, right? If Pelipper comes, you can use Thunder. You lose your fire weakness. It's pretty good overall. Here's Appleton. I don't see a good reason for Appleton to come into my team. I don't think it works particularly well, but it might. I really don't know. This thing is one of the few good like Leech Seed kind of stall tanks that is available in this generation. Think of Ferrothorn, right? Ferrothorn's not in the game, but Appleton's like pretty close. Thick Fat makes it really hard to hit for good damage, and Gluttony and Ripen are also both reasonable abilities as well. It's exceptionally bulky. Its special defense doesn't really matter here. It's its HP that is really so crazy. Leech Seed is kind of worrying. I think compared to a lot of the other teams, I have a pretty offensive draft, so defensive pieces like this might struggle. But if Mike manages to get it in the right position, with like screens or something, I don't think he has access to screens. Magneton, I think it's light screen, right? If it might not get reflect, it gets light screen. Does it get reflect? Yeah, it gets both screens. There's a weird world where he could go for damage reduction, right? If that's the case, it could be really, really annoying to deal with. So I need to keep that in mind, have answers to delete Appleton if I really need to. But that being said, I don't think it's coming. I'm pretty confident Honchkrow's coming. I think I have some Sucker Punch weaknesses on my team because it's so fast. I think because I have Dragapult in my draft, Honchkrow kind of feels like a must bring, honestly. I think if you have Sucker Punch on your team, you're going to bring it into me, even if I don't bring the mons that are weak to it. So, this thing's pretty strong. It's not bulky at all. I mean, the 100 HP is good, but its defenses are so low, it has pretty middling bulk. I have a lot of good answers to deal with this. Iron Valiant is great here, as long as it doesn't hit with a flying move. But again, its most valuable bulk stat is its HP, and if it goes for a Brave Bird into Iron Valiant, it just loses all of its HP. So yeah, Honchkrow shouldn't be too hard to deal with. Super Luck's annoying. Moxie's interesting, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to sweep with this. I'm bringing answers to it. Flareon is cute. This is the first generation where Flareon can get away with using a Flame Orb because of Terrestrialization, which is really, really fun. You kind of got to use it. You have to give it speed control. You could use it in Tailwind. You can use it in Trick Room. Those are kind of your two options. You really can't use it without any kind of speed control because this is just so middling. In some team comps, that's a good thing. I think Mike has a lot of options to make this speed work, but it's going to need some sort of support. And I think I have options both on the fast side and on the slow side to deal with Flareon. So it's just kind of a guts heavy hitter. That's what you can expect to see from it. Last but not least is Muck. I love good poison types. Muck is just fantastic. It's not as good as, what's his name? Alolan Muck, obviously. And this is the one exception in the draft that I have to be trying to hit it on its physical defense rather than its special defense. And it does get access to Acid Armor, so it's not like you can't patch up that lower defense stat. But Muck isn't offensively threatening at all. It does target Valiant with poison moves, I guess, but it's like not that big of a deal. As long as I'm not terrestrializing into something that's weak to poison. It gets kind of crazy coverage as most Kanto mons do, but its damage output isn't that threatening. 105 attack is fine. It's not great, and I don't think there's a good way to boost it. Its abilities are cute. You'd probably run Poison Touch like most of the time. Stench is cool. Like if Mike commits to Trick Room, I could see him bringing Stench Muck to get flinches, like even with King's Rock or something, if that stacks. I'm not sure if it does, but if it stacks, that's a legit strategy for sure. And this gets Shadow Sneak, which is kind of fun for priority. And again, into my team with me having Dragapult as one of my A tiers, I think people are looking at priority options that are good into Dragapult all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Muck shows up just because it's kind of flexible. It has a low speed, so like there could be a mode that has Appleton, Flareon, and Muck, and Iron Hands, and Farigiraf, and that's like a Trick Room thing. I think Muck fits pretty well there. It's a good defensive pivot for other mons that need a bulky poison type to take a hit for them. With all that being reviewed, I know you've been staring at it in the overlay. Let's take a look at what I'm bringing into Mike ABC. For the first week, I just wanted to hit the ground running with Disquake. I had a really clear Disquake in my draft. By that, I mean Discharge plus Earthquake. And as you can see with these first two mons on the team, Earthquake and Crocodile and Discharge and Rotom, it just felt right. I think Mike's team has a lot of ground weaknesses and then not really any electric weaknesses, but Discharge is just such a volatile move. It just, with the high paralysis chance and hitting every target, it's just good to have. In combination with Earthquake and Discharge, there's not a lot of switches that Mike can make weak. I don't think he has access to wide guard. Let me actually check. I'm pretty sure maybe Iron Hands gets it. If I can spell. No. Pelipper? Pelipper still has wide guard, but you'd be hard pressed to bring a Pelipper in against a Rotom, right? And I'm not choice locked, so it's going to be tricky. I don't think Dreadnought gets it. I don't think Appleton gets it. Yeah, so we're just dealing with Pelipper here as far as wide guard goes. So I felt like this strategy was looking pretty good. I like these movesets. They're fun. I don't need anything besides ground and dark coverage on Crocodile. Just not a big deal. And I'm running safety goggles so that I can just not be put to sleep by Toadscruel. Because Toadscruel's a mon that I can't really like one-shot with any Moxie boosts. Like, it's a bulky threat, and neither of these mons like to deal with it. So as long as I have safety goggles, I can't be spored. I don't care about Rage Powder. I'm probably using spread moves anyways, but I just wanted to be able to just ignore Spore, and I believe it gets Rage Powder as well. I'm just going to double check that real quick. I don't think it prevents Leech Seed, but Terra Grass would. You might notice that I have quite a bit of Terra Grass on my team. Yeah, there's Rage Powder. So I think because Toadscruel's annoying for this combo, having goggles here is really nice. I'm Terra Ground to boost my Earthquakes because I'm going to be spamming them. That's the plan. I have enough speed to deal with certain Tailwind situations, certain Swift Swim situations when I have speed control of my own. And then I have a good amount of attack to pick up some important first KOs, and then a lot of bulk. I want to be able to stay alive as much as I can. And Moxie. Intimidate didn't seem like that big of a deal. The only thing I really want to intimidate on Mike's team is going to be that Iron Hands, and like I have a ground type Terra Ground Crocodile. I'd rather just KO it. I'm not really worried about cycling or anything. I'd rather just have the chance to just full sweep if I get in a good position. And Moxie enables that. If I just get +1, things are going to be scared to switch into this without question. So Honchkrow kind of walls this, but again, next to Rotom, it's pretty risky. You don't want to bring either Pelipper or Honchkrow when Rotom's on the field. They are grass type, so you'd be like, oh, flying type move on Honchkrow is fine, but the electric typing balances that out. You might see I'm Terra Electric here. It's for the same reason I'm Terra Ground on Crocodile. I want to be maintaining my strongest stab moves, and if I need that damage boost, I can just lock into it. Rotom's a little bit slower than Crocodile, not for real any reason besides Crocodile's naturally faster. It has some good speed benchmarks I put in. I went full damage Life Orb. I want to be dealing as much damage as possible, and that also helps if I'm in a situation where I need to use Leaf Storm, which I probably will against, well, I might not need against Dreadnought unless it's Assault Vest or something. Forcing Terra is still good, but besides the point. What I'm trying to say is if my special attack is naturally high, it doesn't hurt quite as bad, at least in my head, if I have a lot of ways to get damage when my special attack is lowered by Leaf Storming. Protect is just a good move on these guys in general, so I've slotted Protect. Let's look at the next mon, Iron Valiant. I think the booster energy set looks pretty strong here. Fairy Fighting is just crazy coverage, and it smacks everything that like isn't muck. It's just really, really good. It could easily force some Terras. Booster energy on this high special attack stat, Moonblast, into Iron Hand's low special defense. If it's not Assault Vest, it gets crushed, which is fantastic. It's also really fast, so I don't have to go full investment. This doesn't outspeed Swift Swim Dreadnought, but it outspeeds everything else on the team naturally, I believe. So that's pretty good. I have Wide Guard here for multiple reasons. One is that I can bring in Valiant next to these spread move users, and I can click Wide Guard if it seems beneficial, but also against Dreadnought and maybe other spread moves that could be happening, like Hyper Voice Farigiraf. It's just a good option to have. Just blocking those moves is cool. I've opted for Encore over Protect. I've been testing this in VGC Series 2 with Iron Bundle using Encore instead of Protect. I think it's pretty powerful, especially in Draft League when they don't know I'm running it. If your opponent locks into a move, like say, for example, I happen to have Crocodile and Iron Valiant on the field, and my Mycelium Might Toadscruel just went for Spore. I can Terra Grass on Iron Valiant and go for the Encore into Toadscruel. I mean, I'm ignoring whatever their partner's doing, obviously, but that makes Toadscruel just worthless on the field, and then it just forces a really awkward situation where Mike has to switch it or do nothing, where I get to just target the other slot and ignore the Toadscruel. That's just one example, right? It's good into Protects. If a mon that's slower than Iron Valiant, which is the whole team besides Dreadnought, goes for a Protect, that's fantastic. Dreadnought and Rain specifically. So ignoring other speed control methods, it's just, this is a really good tech. In my opinion, Mike's team is overall a middling speed. The fastest mon, I believe, is Toadscruel. And again, that has the caveat that status moves always go last. So I think Encore goes really hard in this matchup. I'm bringing Vivillon. To speak to Crocodile trying to live for a long time with my decent HP investment, Friend Guard is fantastic here. I really like Friend Guard on this team. None of my mons are like super bulky, but they're all a little bulky, so Friend Guard helps push them over the edge. I also think the bug typing into Mike's team is actually pretty good. You have Ferrigraph, that's weak to it. You have Toadscruel, that's weak to it. I think Pollen Puff as an offensive move is just great because it deals a good amount of damage, and I can heal my allies with it, like a Friend Guard boosted Crocodile who's Moxie boosting. That just sounds like a dream situation if I can get it. I'm running Giga Drain over a flying type move because I want to be able to hit Dreadnought. If I get the speed advantage on it, I can just KO it, which is all I want because Rock Slide is really threatening for Vivian. I can even take a Rock Slide with Focus Sash, and I can go for that Giga Drain. Quiver Dance is kind of cute. I couldn't think of a better move. I could run Sleep Powder, but without the boost from Compound Eyes, I didn't really want to. There's a lot of supportive things I could have done, but Quiver Dance just felt good because of how good Bug and Grass feels into the team. It doesn't really touch Muck, but besides that, or Magneton as well, besides that, I think it smacks pretty hard, like pretty much everything, at least for neutral. So I went for a Modest Nature because I didn't need that much speed to be useful. I wasn't going to outspeed Toadscruel anyways, so might as well just go Modest. So there could be a crazy situation where I'm using like Spread Earthquake and I have Friend Guard up and they are threatened by Crocodile. I'm not really doing anything useful with Vivian support wise because they're just going to get KO'd. Might as well just get a Quiver Dance, right? If I already got my Tailwind set up, just dance and I have another offensive threat all of a sudden. So I think that's pretty potent. Looking forward to using Vivian. We're bringing Bronzong. So I was mentioning earlier that I feel like personally Mike's best matchup into me isn't using Pelipper for Tailwind, it's using Ferrigraph for Trick Room. So I want to be able to have my own say in the matter, and I think Bronzong is my answer to that. Bronzong is just a good defensive typing overall. It doesn't mind Pelipper's Rain. It sits in front of Dreadnought pretty well. I'm going full physical defense here. All of the mons on Mike's team that I'm concerned about are physical offensive pieces. Toadscruel hypothetically could deal good damage to Bronzong, but I have a couple things that helps with that. One, I'm using Levitate, once again, blocking Crocodile's Earthquake. So you can already tell I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mons that block Earthquake, which is just great. And then I Protect and Wide Guard here. So technically I can Earthquake on the whole team, which is exactly what I want to be doing. I'm bringing Zen Headbutt for a physical move. That might change. I had some good logic. Oh, it was to hit Muck. That's why. I'm bringing Zen Headbutt despite the fact I'm saying that all of these mons have higher special or physical defenses. Muck has the lower one, and Zen Headbutt is it's the only good like psychic physical attack move that's going to do anything reasonable in that situation. And I think if I'm bringing Bronzong, it's because there's the opposing Trick Room because I'm running in Prison and I have my own Trick Room and I want to kind of take advantage of it. So I feel like Bronzong's really good into Muck and I want to be able to hit Muck kind of hard. That's it. When we actually get to the battle, I might change that, but for now I like Zen Headbutt, Protect, Imprison, and Trick Room. I actually don't really need Protect on Bronzong, but the synergy with Imprison is just so good. If I'm in a situation where I can block Protect, even if I'm not trying to block Trick Room, like this makes Bronzong usable even if Trick Room like speed control is already in my favor. Like because otherwise Bronzong can feel kind of like a sitting duck, but if I can prevent Mike from using Protect, all of a sudden I have these great offensive pieces that are just free to swing and there's nothing he can do besides make smart switches. So I think that puts on a lot of really great pressure. He might run Zen Headbutt on Ferrigraph, but I doubt it. But if that were the case, I could block that offensive move as well, which is just kind of fun. Last but not least, we're bringing Klotzer. What's fun about this 6-speed IV Iron Ball Klotzer is that it is guaranteed to underspeed Appleton and Trick Room, which is important. I'm running Ice Beam. I don't have a whole lot of good answers for Appleton besides, I guess, Vivian here. Moonblast does pretty well too, but I just felt like I needed, if I'm in a Trick Room situation, I need to be able to deal with Appleton, and Ice Beam dispatches it immediately, which is fantastic. Water Pulse gets boosted by Mega Launcher, so it's the best offensive option. Hydro Pump is just about as strong. It might still be stronger despite Mega Launcher, but it's inaccurate, and Water Pulse always hits, and it has a confusion chance, so that's fantastic. Aura Sphere, pretty solid coverage move. I like what fighting type hits on his team pretty well. I'm usually just going to be spamming Water Pulse, but Aura Sphere is a good option. Ice Beam for Appleton and Toadscruel, and then Protect because it's Protect. I'm running Terra Water. I might change my mind on that as well, and I'm just doing a really basic EV spread just because I want to be bulky and I want to be hitting hard. Once again, I didn't finish really like talking about it, but Friend Guard benefits everyone. I mean, by default it does. It's never a bad ability to have, but all these mons have like enough bulk where it's like, yeah, Friend Guard would really push them over the edge and make them hard to deal with. So I really like Vivian in this situation. I'm excited. It's been a while since I've done Draft League, and I think this is a really great team to debut with. I wanted to bring my first pick Dragapult into this matchup, but it just didn't do that much for me. And I like putting it on the bench and not bringing it because I kind of personally think that when you see Dragapult on my draft, if you don't prep for it, you can kind of just lose to it. It can just get carried away with a setup or maybe even a support set, or just it's Dragapult. It's super fast. It's the fastest thing in the draft besides Electrode, which while Electrode is threatening, we saw that in week 1 with Squids versus Kira. It's not the same kind of force that Dragapult is. So I'm benching it here and I'm hoping that Mike over prepares for it. And then all of a sudden I didn't even bring it. So all in all, I think this Quake's going to work really well. I think Vivion's really cute. I think my last 2 Mons offer a cool anti-trick room / my own trick room kind of mode. All my speed is pretty middling. It's kind of in the middle except for timid Iron Valiant, but Iron Valiant's not going to go slow anyways. Doesn't really matter. I'm excited. I don't know what else to say. If you enjoyed watching this team builder, please leave a like, please leave a subscription, please leave a comment, please leave whatever you want to leave, but don't leave the channel. We're going to be back tomorrow with the video of me versus Mike, so don't go anywhere. Be sure to check your sub boxes for that, and that's all I have to say. Have a great rest of your day. See you later.